It's Sunday morning, and I have a message. And today's message comes from the book of Esther, chapter 1, verses 9 to 12. And it states, also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded the seven chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. And so the title of my message today is It Ain't About You. Okay, so let me get comfy. So, King Ahasuerus was the king of the kingdom of Persia. Now, Queen Vashti was a very most beautiful woman, and she married this king. Now, the king had been king for about 3 years. So he has this spread. He has a 7-day party. On the seventh day, he's like, let me stunt on these fools, bring my baby girl out. They can see how beautiful she is in all her royal attire. And so he calls for Vashti, right? Now, Vashti is having the 7-day party too, right? Her and her girls are partying and drinking and eating and singing and dancing. Like they're like having a good time too. So it's day 7. Now, in Vashti's defense, she probably wasn't looking her best, but all them guys had beer goggles. They couldn't see. Well, wine goggles, excuse me. They couldn't see. She was still a very beautiful woman. But she's like, no, I ain't going. Me and my girls are chilling. I'm good. Tell the king I'm good on that. Now the chamberlains go back to the king and he's like, what? What? Oh, he's mad. And the other men are like, what? They're like, look, she's a bad role model for the rest of these here women in this kingdom. Like, we don't need these women raising up, acting like they ain't going to listen when we talk to them. When we ask them to do something, they have the right to say, no, we not having that. So Vashti loses everything. She fumbled the bag because she wouldn't put a crown and a robe on and go parade around for these men to make her husband happy. Her husband, the king, that was footing the bill for all of the stuff, all of the clothes, all of the carriages, all of the parties, all of the jewelry. Like, come on now. I know she thought twice about it after she got deposed. Now, so Vashti gets deposed, lose her job. In comes Queen Esther. Now, the difference between Vashti and Esther is Vashti forgot where, forgot who she came to the party with, forgot who she came to the dance with. And yeah, she ain't danced with the king when he called her. On the other hand, Esther is very humble. Now, Esther's people are in a dire situation because an evil man named Haman made a royal decree to have them slaughtered. And so Esther invites the king and his number 2 to her house for dinner, to her residence for dinner. And like the king was like, oh, like, like that was kind of different, right? Like she's inviting him to, and he's like, sure. Like God had given her favor in the king's eye. So they come over for dinner, and he's like, you know what? I am so happy right now. whatever you want, like I will give you up into half of the kingdom. And she's like, well, there's one thing, King. There's been a royal decree. There's been a decree put out there to kill all my people. And the king was like, who would do such a thing? And she said, Haman. Haman's like, but no, 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 this wasn't not Queen Esther. No. Well, the king is totally hot and he like goes outside and he like tries to collect himself. And when he comes back in, Haman is like down on his knees in front of the queen, like touching her. And the king's like, oh, you would you would attack the queen in my presence? He was like, no, no. That look, Haman is now deposed, but Haman isn't just deposed. They hung him. He died. So now Haman had done all of that because he hated Mordecai. Mordecai was the cousin to Esther. One day, Mordecai was like hanging out at the king's gate, and he heard two soldiers talking about overthrowing King Ahasuerus. And so he's like, "Oh no, not my son-in-law, right?" Because Mordecai raised Esther. So he gets word to Esther. She gets word to the king, and it got investigated, and it was right. And so already there's favor for Mordecai. And so when um, when Haman did all this heinousness, when he got deposed, guess who got his job? The man that hated him, that he hated so badly, took his job. And do you know why he took his job? Because of God's favor. See, man, although King Ahasuerus gave him the job, it was God's favor that got him the job. Like Esther was blessed, and everybody around her was blessed too. That her uncle, her cousin that raised her was blessed, and he ended up being number two to the king. Her people were blessed because they got to live peaceably in the land, and she was blessed because, right, she got to be the queen. And so the difference in the whole thing is like Haman really thought it like he was somebody, right? He really thought that he was something and that he could destroy a whole people, but he didn't realize that was God's people and God wasn't having it. And so, family, man can put you in a position, but man can depose you from that position. But when God puts you in a position, all kinds of favor and anointing come in. Man can't just put you out that position because God put you there. When we work out in this world, remember that man hired you. And I'm not talking about men, I'm talking about mankind. This isn't man bashing men. When we work out in the world, we have to work with to God's glory, right? We have to work like we're doing it for God. Because when even though man gives you the job, when you work to God's glory, God starts bringing in his favor and his blessings. And his anointings all come with that. And if you're working in the church, you or even volunteering, you're working to God's glory. And people say, oh, they treat it like a business now. It is a business. It's God's business. And it's kingdom business. And we have to make our churches the best kingdom business. Right? We have to make God's church, God's kingdom the best. So we have to work to his glory wherever it is we work. Because when we work to his glory, his blessings and his favor all, all come with that, whether we work in the church or in the world. Join us again next time when In His Will Ministries International presents It's Sunday Morning. Bye.